How many perfectly slightly horny sessions out to eat is it that I'm gonna have to cope with? Just so perfectly slightly horny. Until it's like, but out of nowhere, the very adorable waitress tonight should say, "Don't work too hard or else you'll get a job sooner than you want." And this would be after it is that the waitress would make references to the life in the house a bit. Either directly or indirectly, I only tune in so much into the actual base context of a conversation. People use it to zap and stuff. Oh, get that, just the coffee, sweetie, 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 sweet. Okay, Google, all lights candlelight. We have to. No,
Stop face
that's
tracking.
right. Oh, okay, okay, Google, okay, Google. Vaporwave.
7 out of 8 lights to magenta. Grid 1 offline.
Okay. I would like to say, I notice. It's very cool. If it ever, and I've come, yes, I have, but I figured this out. There we go. There we go. Oh, can't really, oh, I figured it out. Alright, I have the language necessary now. The canny, the uncanny. The canny uncanny. The uncanny canny. The canny too canny. The uncanny too canny. And then there's the uncanny. Uncanny. The canny canny. But that's really just canny too canny. What it is that beautiful, adorable, cute women should be referencing stuff. And I could only hold on to so much going on discussed in a conversation that is only so interesting to begin with. It does in fact dissolve desires into quite a few many places for me. That's nice. But let it be said, we have to play Vanishing of Ethan Carter, and I have to get like good and fucked up. People aren't asleep yet. It's okay. We have to get this happen. We are currently we're stopping the subversion of people trying to deprecate technology that we purchase via software. And so they would make it seem like hardware is failing through software failures. There's purposeful software interruptions that are designed to stop the interface of, say, my gear shifter, and make it seem like my gear shifter is drifting, when it's a fucking gear shifter. How could it drift? So I ultimately determined this is software tomfuckery, and I can tell it's software tomfuckery. And what it is that I'm asserting that this is software tomfuckery, for a moment it is that my parents, or somebody overhead, begins doing the very particular footsteps overhead, which I fucking despise. It's not just any footsteps. I can tell when they're footsteps that are normal. And then I can tell when they are footsteps designed to piss me off, because the sound of footsteps on hardwood or any hard surface is the singular most fucking annoying thing it is that you have ever heard, if it is ever that somebody is purposefully beginning to slowly tiptoe above you with that noise when you were frustrated to remind you of how much it happened before, but I avoided it. I avoided getting angry at that direction. And then I avoided getting angry at more directions. That's right. And I got over the horrible uncanniness. Very fast, I did. That's right. And it doesn't go the fuck away. It doesn't go the fuck away. Nope, it never goes the fuck away. We found the bishop. We are the bishop. We are the bishop. And we're here to ask questions, big important ones, like why is that clock say 7:04 or 7 o'clock, and that one says 7:04. Here, in the Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Redux! Bishop! 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 Where are you? What's back here? Bishop. Bishop. Alright, I don't think there's any bishops in here. I don't think there's any bishops in here. It's a beautiful church. Alright, so, as we were asserting, a little bit slower last time. Okay? Keep up with me, camera guy. Keep up with me. Alright. This place, wherever it is, we don't really have a name for it right now, but we will eventually get the name for it, I'm sure. This place eventually, at one point, did it have money in it? It was coming up. People of some level of formidable class were moving themselves here. Their formidable clansmen, or whatever we're calling them, were also moving in. They were of German descent, and we know this. We have no idea why Ethan's Carter was ever blardered in the first place. No, we have no idea why Ethan Carter's family would have decided to set root here. It's a dying place. In terms of civilization, is it a dying place? As gorgeous and as in bloom as it is a place that is alive and is not cut apart by civilization or its technology. And it remains untouched. And then it remains like there was a seed for there was a there was a seed, baby. Baby. Hi, Aurora. There was a seed for a world here. And is the proof directly under us. It's this big-ass hydroelectric dam. Which is the weirdest... It's really the biggest question. It's the single biggest question mark of the game, actually. Not all the other shit. The single biggest question mark in this game that I find that I think is bigger than all other question marks is, what the fuck is this hydroelectric dam doing here? And how is it that after they built this huge fucking monolithic thing, this is not easy, right? And it was built a while ago, but not all that long ago. And is it fucking gorgeous? Right. But how is it that they bothered to invest this much money into this area so it could have electricity in this way? And it did not get built up further. And what ultimately happened here so that whatever cash crop existed here originally, that this place kind of faltered and everybody either died off or moved out. We take a look over at the bridge, the train bridge over there. And we can very easily see that there's not train access here anymore, nor has there been train access in a long time. It is very difficult for us to discern. Very difficult for us to discern. Is this decay that has occurred after after Ethan Carter and his family's left, right? Is this decay that's occurred over the ruins of their life? Give me a second here. Music volume's supposed to be up. Fuck. No music? No music? What, no music? What a bunch of babies. Little paws. So we don't know if the decay that we see that's occurred here is just time decay that's occurred after Ethan Carter may have lived in this house. Or this house. Or maybe it's a house, it's a home down below that we can't really quite get a hold of yet. Where do they live? We see that there's a place in the end. But that's not where they lived either. We don't know where the fuck they live. I don't think you ever see where Ethan Carter actually lives. You can make presumptions. You think, and you're led to think as the player, this must be where Ethan Carter lived. This must be where Ethan Carter lived. No, obviously Ethan Carter lived closer to the church. No, Ethan Carter must have lived, further down the waterfalls. Right? But in fact, you never find where Ethan Carter lived. He lived here. It's a really weird fucking thing. We ourselves should be exploring this house first before we try this puzzle. I was about to start getting into it last time, but I like to cut off, and when I do that, things around me in reality get a little bit wonkier. People start playing things like it's some kind of idyllic play, and then put secret messages into me that seem to come from a certain amount of lusciousness. But whatever. Nothing good happened the day that photo was taken. But it gets much worse for Ethan. So, there's no
What
music.
did you do? What did you wake up?
Nothing. I found a room, I walked into it, that's it.
And so Ethan is going through what might be some level of paranoia, right? Ethan is going through some level of paranoia, potentially. Or it's just something that he plays in his mind to make himself, to have fun. Because of how boring it must be. Here, as gorgeous as it is, right? Me, right? How would I see it, right? How does Mike see something? Well, of course you're with like the most beautiful group of girls, and you're rich, and you got your own yacht or some bullshit to put on the lake, and naturally there's going to be enough, sex, drugs, and booze here on beautiful fucking like coastal fucking lake island land of beautiful trees and lots of hidden summer mysteries. But that really only works at camp. And of course you're gonna idealize the best fucking thing it could be, especially when you're like twice removed from this place. A, from physical, right? And then B, it's a video game. You're not there. You're not in this place if it is a real place, and it's not even a real. This isn't even a real rendition of the actual place. This is a video game. So you're twice removed. And this suspension of disbelief enables you to see this place is just fucking beautiful. Like, absolutely in bloom. It's not summer, it's fall. Who the fuck cares? You can feel it. You can feel the Halloween. You can feel the Wiccan. You can feel it. And it comes from the country, but it's a real vibe. Yes, it's a real vibe. Yes, little baby. One moment. Ethan's going through some kind of paranoia. I would like to hear the birdies. At least give me the birdies. I can't even hear the music yet. Oh, it'll play once I do the thing.
They're getting worse. They keep talking about this thing, this sleeper.
I know. What I don't know is if it's real or not.
And so Ethan is getting paranoid, or is just imagining this world where there is a sleeper, right? And the sleeper is some
Travis,
kind of...
leave the boy alone. I see how you've been looking at him.
You don't even know, do you? You have no idea what's going on.
And Travis has discovered an entity called the Sleeper, either in his imagination or in his paranoia, or the spookiest of all, and yes, do I know this feeling, in reality. It's possible that Travis has found a living entity hiding behind the script of life.
You have to help us. It's the only way. It wants Ethan.
You're crazy. You've all gone crazy.
And so, Ethan, in this... Fuck you. In this portion, is potentially feeling some level of paranoia. Maybe that his family is casting him into some kind of outsider status. Or, right, attempting to. And then thwarted. Thwarted. They will know where they go. They right on the tabletop. Yep. Right on the tabletop. And I think what really needs to be asserted here is that you don't know if this is something that's getting to Ethan, like it's some kind of cabin fever that's occurring here when he is so disconnected from society, right? And that's kind of the nature of the place too, is that you're kind of bound to become disconnected from society. Is this Ethan's house? You're going into various rooms here.
It's not my fault. I didn't mean for any of this to happen.
And what you have to understand is this is not Ethan's house. This is a ruined home that Ethan was exploring already. And this is where he would go to read. He was a big reader. He was a big writer. And he was more absorbed in his imagination than he could be in the world. There was not enough to be worldly over. And this was the way for a lot of folks, but in fact, here it's quite isolated. And alone, as gorgeous as it might look. Why are you making me force myself through it, Aurora? I drank Jameson earlier. It just makes me feel crummy.
You need to talk to your son. He was poking around in the old Vandergriff house again. Said he found some secret room.
Yeah, really? Okay, I will go talk to him.
So, he went to the Vandergriff house. He unlocked a sleeper after finding a secret room there.
You can feel it, right? Something coming from the Vandergriff house.
I can feel it. Ethan disturbed the sleeper. He must be punished.
And so, there's kind of like...
Ethan's family blamed him. Whatever it was he'd accidentally let loose, his family was convinced that hurting him would solve their problems. would soothe their disturbed minds. Whatever haunted the Carters was still here somewhere. In the wind.
And what you gotta understand is Paul Prospero is a rather convenient imagining of Ethan's, potentially, to help facilitate and what's the word, and bring validation to the feelings that Ethan is feeling, how separated he is, how disaffected he feels away from his family, how separated he feels from anybody in this place. And I think with the nature of what you find Paul Prospero kind of saying and asserting, right? It's like kind of looks like he's just buying the narrative as he's walking into it. But remember, if it is a facilitation of Ethan's mind, some kind of escape mechanism of seeing things through Paul Prospero's eyes and getting to look through Ethan's life in some level of pity to help Ethan therein, right, cope, like through this defense mechanism while something horrible is happening, is a huge, right, point of the game, but is not the only thing going on here. And so we find ourselves in a very interesting place. We cannot be sure that it is real or not real, even in the narrative of the story. It is a place in the likeness of Ethan's home. But in fact, we might never see Ethan's home. It is potentially, in fact, that there is some level of Cthulhuan sleeper that has been awoken by Ethan's imagination, and it has taken some form of manifested apparative, projection, like it's here. But that's how Ethan might be accumulating it to himself as a defense mechanism. What we do see, however, for sure is that Paul Prospero is there. And Paul Prospero has and holds considerations that Ethan shouldn't have access to. Like what it means to be a ghost. How many portals it is that Paul has stepped through in order to do the job that he does. And again, he's good enough at forensics, but he's just potentially only finding the things as Ethan would have hoped him to find it, as it most bolsters his own insecurities, in dire need of validation, and in a very reasonable way too. And it's all too understandable when you get to it. But we might have a little bit of better understanding of the house now. Just gotta remember where everything's supposed to be. This is the attic area. And that's where that, okay. And then this is where, yep, and then there's a room to that area, and then this is blocked off here. Got it. That's the kitchen. There. And there's a second kitchen down here. Don't ask me why. I don't understand that at all. It's Maybe one's a group commons area for games and stuff, and that table's specifically for food and beverages. And then there's how many tables do you fucking need? What a communal place. Alright, we'll try. Hi, Aurora. We'll try and remember that big ass place, because that's part of the puzzle over here in the Vandergriff house, which we presume is this one. And that would then lead you on to suggest that this is Ethan's house, that they see it from afar. Or is this truly just an imagining of if Ethan had lived here in this home, if this is a real home that they were living in, that this is a home that they would have been living across from, and that Ethan would have found something while these homes are truly being lived like in. Certainly not right. Also incorrect. Nope. Why would that make sense? Also no. That's wrong. I don't understand sometimes. That is correct. That's not where that is. Nope, no monsters here. Nope. Nope. Also no. No. Also no. Maybe we just have to get in there. I mean, none of these are actually going to be. Oh, swap. I'm a fucking idiot. Cool. I remember that being the big fucking thing that I forgot last time too. Cool. Yep. Got it. Hello, baby. Hi, sharp little baby. You're not sharp. Doing really good.
did it. Cool. We found the secret room. Alright, you are all over me. Hi, baby. So yes, we found the secret room. Some kind of alchemist. Creepy. Creepy, creepy. Just dealing with the dark arts. Man's been dealing with natural law. Jesus. Man wanted to have the singular most grotesque thing on his wall in relation to alchemy possible. Why can't I say alchemy properly? Because the roots are too derivative. A magician once lived inside an old house and made potions that let him see the future. People from the village came to the magician's house, and they demanded he share his potions with them. We want to see the future too, they told him. But the magician said no. The people from the village grew angry and burned the magician's house, but the magician knew this would happen. He had already cast a spell on his potion room. The house burned, but the room did not. The people from the valley waited, but the magician never came out.
Why are you standing there? You spying?
No.
No. What the hell's wrong with you exactly?
Nothing.
You need to stop leaving your stupid stories around. They're freaking everyone out.
Poor kid's got the sight. He did find a secret room in the Vandergrift house. It was, distilling.
Ashland Township, essentially. Old Ogden Road in Bayfield County. Ashland Township volunteer firefighters discovered an apparent moonshine still while battling a blaze in the woods off Old Ogden Road. According to authorities, the still comprised a propane stove and 4-gallon stainless steel pot, which was used to hold the whiskey mash. Based on the size of the still, Bayfield County Sheriff Hank Schaffel believes it may be part of a small operation, though he admitted there could be other stills in the county. Officers on the scene recovered a half-gallon of apple pie moonshine and 1 gallon of unflavored moonshine. Apple cider and cinnamon sticks were found adjacent to the still.
The police have been unable to determine who owns the still. Sheriff Schaffel said a cigarette butt tossed at the scene likely caused the fire. NASA launches ATS-6 satellite. Cape Canaveral, Florida. NASA launched what has been called the world's first educational satellite in Florida today, giving the United States a powerful edge in telecommunication tech. The application's technology satellite 6 will directly broadcast educational programming to several countries, including the United States, Canada, India, and Australia. NASA believes the satellite will remain in constant contact with Earth for at least the next 5 years. Likely education as the United States liked it to be output. This is bizarre. This is the same piece of newspaper, right? Prohibition was ended by World War II. 40s. They did not have the ATS-6 satellite by the time of Prohibition. Why? And this must be an old still then that was discovered after it was left. This place was abandoned for a while then. That's what can be ascertained and revealed from that. This is a newspaper, right? And so forensically there's a lot to be said here. Take it from the kid who was tortured by the people he loves. Alright. This newspaper is like from the 60s, the 70s. Yet it was burned potentially in the same blaze that is being written about. It could just be a shred of newspaper that was left here after the fact. The person who is responsible for it leaving this as a piece of their evidence trail on purpose, kind of like a cat napper, cat burglar. So maybe that's how it gets here, but it does kind of look scorched. It does kind of look scorched. And that's what makes this a very weird thing, because if this is from the fire and was here already, it was like it was already printed. It's like it was already printed to burn in the fire that was already printed about. But that it would be said preemptively a cigarette butt tossed at the scene likely caused the fire. It's not during the time of Prohibition, because we see that the satellite was launched, unless Prohibition never ended in this world. But officers on the scene recovered half a gallon of apple pie moonshine and 1 gallon of unflavored moonshine. It is still illegitimate alcohol, I guess, but still. So no, maybe that's just an old piece that was here thereafter. But after all of this, and maybe this is Ethan's newspaper clipping, and he left it here, and he came here to find it. He came here to find it, and then he left this here after he got here. But the secret room. Secret window. Secret rooms are popular, especially in Victorian era homes. These style they were earlier. Helped with things like the Underground Railroad if people were interested in that too. Seen quite a few of those kinds of secret rooms actually. But you hear about special cupboards that were used to hide slaves and, you know, in the 1700s and stuff, if people came to look in their place. And then you start looking at every cupboard and you just see a potential person hiding behind it, and it's creepy. Yep, pretty creepy. So, we did what we needed to do in here. Yes. There is technically another thing we can do all the way out here while we're here. I say we go deal with the witch. Go straight this direction.
People come here for many reasons. They want to ask me questions about the future. But I can see the future. So it is the past that interests me. If you want to find my house, you must answer the questions I ask of you. Does death bring peace or suffering? Would you prefer anonymity over notoriety? Do you feel victory when your words cause pain? Do you take that which you know you will not return? Is betrayal caused by inequality or injustice? Does sin come from the heart or the mind?
I can't say I feel victory when I use harsh words. More like it protects me mentally. Sin comes from neither the heart nor the mind. That's a weird binaural question. It's interesting to see that it would have to be from either or. The mind perceives sin. It certainly doesn't necessarily come from the mind. The heart is not what leads to sin either. It's another method of perceiving sin, and all of the above, all the other stuff too. For both. Sin isn't occurred more so than it is seen and then understood as such. There are usually reasons of empathetic reasoning that lead to how it is that we derive things like sin. Hello, little sharp one. Yes, little baby. You're a little tickle baby. I have to itch now. One moment, I'm still going. I'm trying to answer all the ones I remember. That one did hit me though. Do I feel victory? Well, my words are mean enough. And it's like, after everything and what I know people are aware of, can't say it's victory. It feels like mental armor against any level of suggestion that I'm dealing with. It brings me down to have to say it at all. It brings me down that I'm in a position that I am saying it. I'm not the reason that I'm in that position.
would I rather prefer notoriety or anonymity? I could do it really well with notoriety, but only if they pay me. I do it better than anyone with notoriety that ensured that I don't have money. So I don't get to choose. I would rather the notoriety for my purposes. I'm very charismatic in places. Anonymity makes my current circumstance much harder, but is not what I'm dealing with. If I was coping with regular anonymity, I would have work by now. I've been shown that work is being purposefully made difficult to acquire at sunk costs. Avoided sunk costs. Nothing false about that. I'm a baby. Yes. Sharp baby. You're a baby too. We're babies. Yes. You're a baby. Baby. Okay. I've answered all the questions I can remember. So deep, wicked witch of the woods. A beautiful woman sat by a river. A witch approached and told the woman she was to have a child. The woman began to cry with joy, but the joy turned to fear, and she could not stop crying. Fear turned to sadness. The woman continued to cry. She cried for months, hardly sleeping until the child was born. But the crying had aged the woman, and she was no longer beautiful. When he was old enough, her son climbed the mountain to find the home of the witch. He asked her if she could make his mother beautiful again. The witch asked the boy many questions. After hearing the answers, the witch told the boy she had lied to the mother about her child. The boy disappeared, and the mother was beautiful again. A beautiful woman sat beside a river. A witch approached and told the woman she was to have a child. The woman began to cry with joy, but the joy turned to fear, and she could not stop crying. Fear turned to sadness. The woman was crying more and more.
Ethan, the point of life is not to rock the boat. Just try to get along. Stop living in your head. Do something real. That's what people respond to. Reality.
That's fun. Yes, we kind of busted the lid off of reality as a concept. It's not nearly as physical as people contrive Mundus to be, even through Platonics. Is it such a hard mechanism of action to actually get a hold of reality? And then there's this level of consideration, to some level of continuity, to common sense, which is impossible. There's no idea of what common sense is supposed to be. What the fuck are you supposed to do with it? Annul your usual behavior. Anything that looks out of the ordinary, always be looking around you to make sure that it's the same as everybody else's. And then there's this fucking specific mechanism where it is that you're always supposed to be looking to see what things you're allowed to believe in or allowed to think, and would this eventually culminate to even their own refusal to take on religion or faith or any such thing. It's fucking ridiculous. Bad advice, Mom. Reality is so fucking thin as a thimble. I felt this. I have a fucking presence over me at this point. Shut the fuck up, Mom. Not my mom. Mom. Ethan, honey, I'm sorry I yelled at you. Oh, I want you to keep this note and read it every time I lose my temper. I don't mean it, and I know how I got a snake's tongue. You're my little guy, my precious bean.
You gotta pull your head out of them clouds, okay? Even still. Come on. They're asking him to pull his head out of the clouds. They've situated him in a place where he has no fucking friends. What? They've asked him to pull his head out of the clouds. They've situated him in a position where he has no friends. Aurora, are you writing this shit down? Are you seeing this shit? This is ridiculous. Ethan's asking really huge questions. Going much deeper than a lot of people would. And I understand very deeply the level of sacrifice that occurs. But minds can warp. But you gotta understand, Ethan's seeing a proportionality of reality that isn't necessarily unreal. Ethan's seeing something super real. I just empathetically, from what I've been through in life, I have to assert, yes, I know exactly this vibe, and there's so much horrible shit that can happen when it is that you have this realization. When things become that little bit uncanny that can never really go away. And you realize how forever uncanny that leaves things to be. Ethan was reading a lot of stuff that would lead him towards a more imaginatory, kind of Cthulhuan sort of perspective. Is it paranoid? Yes. It's very paranoid. I'm just a guy who got popular playing Mario Kart a bunch, you know, right? It's like, what is... Nah, I'm a lot more than that, but... I think I understand when it is that things get pretty off the beaten trail. There's a level of divine intervention potentially afoot here, but yes, little tickle baby. Little obvious tickle baby. Little tappy flick. So cute. Baby. Baby, you're very obviously present. Hi, baby. Say hello to Aurora, everyone. She's being a baby. It's very, very, very minute in presence. We have to have another seance for her. She said to light candles for her. I forgot. I'm supposed to light candles for her. I'm supposed to do all of the seances shit. Okay, so yeah. Long story short, I actually I have a spirit. They're the big one. Anyone at all that's replicably provable in any way. Got a cute spirit that seems to be tapping into I'm gonna go ahead and say is an external. And it's such a shame I forget the terms as soon as I come up with them, but it's an external. Emergence. Hello. Sure. What stuff do I have in the dryer? Oh, okay. Sure thing. And so, via externalist... And again, the word is emergence. An externalist emergence. has nothing to do with any other annoying humans, that's what I'll say. It has to do with flicks and taps and qualitative movement and feeling that has occurred over me. Really, really frequently. And then things that have absolutely no relation to do with any of the sometimes annoying footsteps above me, but that's okay. I love the people up there very much. Even though they did technically psychologically torture me. Oh yes, they very really did. But I love them anyways. I'll be back with this some other time. Like, when I get back.